Hey everyone, it's great to see you. I am here with the Coleus, I was going to say Coleus seeds, but they're not seeds anymore. The baby Coleus plants, which have done really well, and I had mentioned that I did not seed them very evenly, and you can tell some of these are really getting big enough that they need a larger home. So I'm going to take some of my little peat pots here, my Jiffy pods, and I'm going to be separating them. So take a look at this with the roots coming out. These are some really healthy baby Coleus plants. So this particular pod looks like it's going to be pretty easy to separate right here. When I separate my Jiffy pods, I just sort of peel back. You don't even have to really peel back this part, but it makes it easier, I think, to pull them apart. So I'm going to gently pull off that layer, put that to the side. And you know, Coleus, they're pretty hardy. You want to be gentle, but you will break some of their roots, and you just gently tug them apart. And now I have this little Coleus separated, and he's going to get a new home right here. So this is a bigger little growing area for this Coleus, and now it will really be able to stretch its roots. There's actually two little Coleus here. So I'm just gonna gently pull them apart. There you go, you save what roots you can. And remember, Coleus are pretty hardy. Outside, when I walk around, I will frequently just, grab the tip of one plant and stick it directly into the ground, and it'll root right there. So I can just pat these in, and I have my Grow Ease trays set up here from Gardener's Supply. They are working so well with my other seedlings, and I think this is great. Look at how fabulous they look. They look like little baby Coleus plants now. It's so exciting. So I will not be able to transplant all of these. What I'm gonna do is take the pods that are definitely the most full and separate what I can of those. So this happens to be a Jitters, and I'm in I even have one coming out the side here. I don't know if I'll be able to save that, but we're gonna do the best that we can. And that's the great thing, when you've overseeded like this, like if you lose one or two, not the end of the world. And look at this little seedling here. As I carefully take it off, it still has roots attached to it. So I am going to just give it a new home, and it will be much happier here than growing out the side of this. And it looks like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little plants here. I'm gonna see what I can do to pull them all apart. And you just sort of take your time. And remember, if you lose a leaf, if you lose a whole plant, it is not the end of the world. We do the best that we can. Very gently, look at that. Separated those roots just like that. And what I do is, I don't have a dibbler here, so I'm just using my finger to poke a hole and nestle them right down into their new area of planting. Here we go. One little trick that you can use is to use a plastic fork and then just sort of pat around your little seedlings here. So the fork allows you to get close to the stem without really hurting any of the leaves, and pat that dirt in around it. Oh, they look so good. So now I just sort of go, okay, I don't know where to begin next. These guys are huge. These are Kong Red. Look at that. And then of course we have the one growing out the side here. So it looks again like I have about 5 different plants. The roots are coming through just so nicely. So I'm going to carefully just remove this, which once again you don't really have to. And then this outside one is tricky, but I'm going to give it a try. Okay, look at that. We saved him with his root. So that is a good looking little guy here. And now I'm going to give him a new home. And this will allow them to grow that next little bit in size. They might need to be transferred up one more time before we move them outside, but I'm going to try to make this work if I can. It's just so much easier, and it is getting nicer here every day. We are supposed to, however, tomorrow night have a temperature drop down to 27 degrees. I'm a little horrified for my hydrangea buds, but they probably will be okay. Oops, I just lost a plant here. And then we're supposed to have some really nice weather. Usually our frost date here is between, our last frost date is between April 15th to April 30th, so we're getting there. It's April 1st today. However, you know, that last frost date time is really their estimate of that there's a 50% chance that you won't have a frost after that. So you sort of have to weigh it out. 50% chance that you won't have a frost is 50% chance that you will still have a frost. So I tend to like to wait a little bit longer than that. I'm gonna come back over here to my Jiffy pods. Look at this. Oh, this is just so exciting to think these just came from those little tiny seeds that I could not see, and they're just growing everywhere. Those, I don't know if I can save, but we'll try. Look at that with its roots. So fabulous to see them looking so healthy. And then of course we'll have to harden them off. So when you harden your seeds off, you're preparing them to go outside into the real world. In here, you know, they have the ideal conditions. I'm keeping it nice and warm, and you know, there's rain falling directly on them. So when you harden them off, you're going to get them ready to actually face some of the wind that's outside, that type of thing. I do have a fan that was blowing on these, and my Cosmos little shoots, what do we call them? Sproutings? They're seedlings, I guess. And so you can see it's blowing them back and forth, and that's one way that you start to harden them off. You're making their stems that much stronger by having to hold up to the gentle breeze of a fan. And I mean, it's not like we're doing gale force winds on them. However, it does get them just enough stronger that when you put them outside, they will be more prepared for the elements. And then as it gets warmer, I'll start moving my trays outside for parts of the day and then bringing them back in at night. So it gets used to the temperature outside. And Coleus really do like warm weather. So I might even wait more to the end of May before putting these out. Let's grab another one of these here. Oh, look at this. So fabulous. Now there's only 3 plants, but they're really pretty distinct plants here. So I can grab them pretty easily and separate them out. There's one. Ooh, these are kind of close. I think they almost seem like they're attached. I'm going to leave these 2 together. That's okay. And now their roots can start to fill this little tray here. So these Grow Ease pots have really been great in that I added the water initially to the bottom, and it was wicked up. By the next morning, I could really tell because I ended up spreading some of the vermiculite on top so that I wouldn't get those fungus gnats. And the next morning, that vermiculite, which was completely dry when I put it down, was really nice and moist. So that's sort of what I'm keeping an eye out for now, and I can just add more water to the tray. Here's another one. Let's see if we can grab this one. I'm going to put this one in the corner just because it's kind of scrawny. Same with this one. We'll do 2 in this little pot. I don't know if they're gonna make it or not. But these look great. And now, as these get bigger, I will pinch them down a bit so they start to get a little bushier. And I'll show you how I do that. I like my Coleus to not just be tall and leggy, but to grow out to the side and make a nice full plant. And I know that lots of you will be looking to do the same thing with your Coleus. It just makes a prettier, rounder presentation, especially if you're putting them in a pot. Now last year I did some in the ground and I did some in the pots, and I plan to do the same thing this year. I think that the more Coleus you can have, the better. I think I'll do 2 in here. These just, we're gonna very carefully separate them. Now I might lose a couple of these. I'm not babying them too much, but it's totally worth a try to see what we can keep. And I think a better, bigger growing area for a lot of these will just really, really help. Let's see, let's come back over here to some more jitters. I love jitters. So I'm gonna grab this jitters here, and it's already falling apart, and pull them gently. There are a lot of little jitters plants here, and I'm gonna try to save as many as I can just by gently separating them. This is where we see how patient we can be. I think there's like 3 here. I'm gonna keep all 3 together. Sometimes they're just so close together, and you can do that, that's fine. I think I can get those 2 apart. And maybe, look at this, these 2 apart too. Oops, and notice I lost a leaf. So we don't panic if a little leaf falls off, that's fine. That did not kill the plant. Okay. So now just very carefully, I am going to dig a little hole for those roots, and then gently tamp down around them and press them in. Oh, they just look so cute. This is so exciting. It's like all these different coleus plants. I went to the nursery the other day, and of course, you know, they have some things in. They had their Martha Washington geraniums. I got a couple of those. But, you know, other than their pansies, there's just not a lot quite ready yet. I have a list of things that I will be looking for this year. And of course, they didn't have any coleus out yet, which is very smart of them, but I was ready to see them in the greenhouse. And this year, I'll be looking for, you know, some more unusual kinds of coleus, hopefully that I can buy that are already set on. But this is holding me over for the last little bit of winter here. And I don't know how I got a stick. Okay. I'm just gonna keep going until I fill up the rest of this tray. Look at this one. Look at all the ones on the side here. Oh my goodness, I just did a terrible job on this one. We'll see what we can separate out. Thing is though, I had fun doing this, and that is what gardening is supposed to be. So, you know what? If I didn't get them completely even, that is okay, because it brings me a lot of joy to have things growing in my house, in the garden, and getting ready for the warm weather. This is where bringing in the fork might be a good idea to sort of press them in a little bit if you're having a hard time. I feel like my fingers are not small enough for some of this work. Okay, so I'm gonna look at this wrapper, and I do have these little guys. I don't know if I can pull them off. Yeah, we have a little root there. I'm gonna give it a try. Now this particular kind is the giant Exhibition Limelight that I had ordered, and these I didn't have as many seeds of, and they were also the first row that I planted, so I did a much nicer job dividing them evenly, and they are much easier to pull apart. If you only have the 2 plants in your little Jiffy pot, it is much easier to separate them, to keep track of them, probably really to take better care of them. So looking back, if I had had more energy, I would have done a neater job the whole time, but I think that that's a key to making this whole separation process easier for yourself. Okay, so we have 2 trays of coleus all divided here. They can live in here for quite a while now, and I can already tell that the soil is wicking up the water that is underneath from the Grow Ease potting system here. And these I'm going to leave a little bit longer. We have a lot of little tiny babies in here, so they are fine for a little bit longer, and then I will separate these out too. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.